So, looking at Tears Don't Fall for a music video research, I mainly chose to look at this because the idea of fire has come up within the discussions we've been having in a group for ideas of sort of visual shots that we wanted in our piece. Overall, the video I don't feel was an amazingly strong video, but I think how they tackle the idea of fire is really clever. Throughout the entire video it cuts between the narrative and the performance, and they integrate not because the Matt, which is the lead singer of Bullet for My Valentine, is the protagonist, but because they use a very similar sort of tonal aspect on the camera. They put a blue sort of tint on it which matches across the performance and the narrative together, which kind of gives it this idea of integration. Personally, I think the performance element of this video is really not brilliant. I find the water makes the images unclear. I think the rain is far too heavy. I like the idea of the fact that they're playing out in the rain. It's quite dramatic. It fits with the dramatic sort of climaxes and stuff like that within the narrative, but I just feel it leaves it too unclear, and there's these horrible camera jolts when he starts screaming and it just looks like someone's knocked the camera and trying to get it back straight. I don't find that a very successful move. I think that could have been done a lot more tastefully, or it could have been done with handheld camera on set rather than a post-production effect. So yeah, I don't think that's a very strong side of it, but the narrative itself I think is quite cleverly done. It's clearly about a guy that's having sex with a lot of women, and he's trying to find ways to get them out so we can get on to the next one, except this one girl, which in a way she is portrayed as a very unstereotypical sort of female, because she's actually trying to get back. She takes control of the situation. She doesn't just accept it, she goes for it. She becomes a very powerful character within the narrative, and you actually see him and his latest accomplishment begging for their lives. However, it's the ending of the narrative that I find really interesting. A lot of people would believe that she was gonna set them on fire, and the first time I saw it I thought, oh my god, this could be amazing visually. Actually, the idea of people being set on fire could be so much fun right now, and I know that sounds ridiculously morbid, but I was just thinking of general actual shots that they could have created there with the fire and it ripping up the walls and stuff like that would have been amazing. But I think actually what they did was more clever. They showed her as a bigger person. They showed how deceptive people can be deceived, and I thought that was quite an interesting twist at the end of their narrative. Personally, I think they didn't actually pull off what they were trying to do as the best they can, but the concept I think was awesome. The fact that you see her with this Zippo lighter and it's really tense and everything's just like, oh my god, they're gonna die, and then it just gets doused by water. I think you just kind of have to laugh. You have to laugh at the patheticness of the guy and how much he's crying and begging her, and she just turns around and blows him a kiss. I just think it's such an amazing turn in sort of power structures, and I think it's actually quite a deep narrative, which I think does work. I mean, personally, looking at it, I think they could have put the point where the flame goes out a different point in the music, when the music was really, really, really tense and everything. I don't think the narrative and the music match at the end, but I think the actual concept for the narrative is so strong, and it could have really been something amazing. And I would like a deep narrative. I would like something that's possibly got a twist in it, something that's going to get our viewers and audience thinking. I want them to be sort of constantly looking and thinking, hang on, how's this going to go? Where's this going to go? And I think this video does do that. Doesn't do it well, but I think it's one of the few examples I can find of one that does sort of have this sort of strange depth to the narrative. I mean, it's a music video, but they've got this depth, and I personally think that it could have worked really, really well. And I'm hoping that if me and the guys and that, we go for this sort of a narrative and we go for something a bit deeper and a bit more sort of complicated and stuff like that, we would obviously pull it off better, and hopefully sort of mix it with our music that we chose better and make sure structurally it works. I think that's something we've definitely learned from this. But I think what I've also learned is that it does work. You can put quite a deep narrative into something that's 3 or 4 minutes long. I don't think you have to be subjected to really stereotypical narratives where the boy meets the girl and everything goes wrong. So I think that's a really key thing to learn from this. And personally, I love the song as well. So, hey!